Hey, welcome everyone. It's Dr. Mike Reed from Chiropractic Masters. I want to welcome everyone to today's Master Talk. Now, this is part of a 12-part series that we're doing because all these speakers who are on with us are actually going to be at Prosperity October 26th and 27th. And I've asked them to join to give everybody a taste of prosperity from the perspective of their particular characteristics that they're going to be presenting at Prosperity. Now, Benny Matthews, many of you know him from Cardiff, Wales, is one of the newest and upcoming philosophers in chiropractic. He's a voracious reader of the green books. He's got one of the busiest practices in Europe, and he's been asked to speak around the world. I was just honored to be sharing the stage with him at ChiroFest, and he just knocked it out of the park. Got a standing ovation. And I'm honored to be his coach and his close friend and have him on tonight's Master Talk. So, Benny, thank you for being on with us tonight.
It's my honor, and hello, world. It's 10 o'clock. Busy day in the. I'm stuck.
10 in the UK. It's 5 in Eastern North America. We have doctors from Malaysia, UK, Sweden, Australia, from all over the world who are joining us tonight. And we have a lot of doctors jumping on. So I want to thank you guys for being on for this talk with Benny. Now, Benny, this is important because I've always said that philosophy is foundational to everything that you do. And what I want to do is really open up this call with introducing yourself to all the viewers, all the masters and non-masters around the world. But let's just start with what got you hooked on the green books. Where did that evolution begin for you?
I think that, hello everybody, by the way, because I was denied really through my original studies, anything with regards to philosophy. When I've always been told by my parents that when I've been told not to do something, I go and do it anyway. So I kind of had to look around what chiropractic was really about. And once I started understanding that B.J. Palmer and D.D. Palmer wasn't just historical artifact, and the fact that their words meant something, not just in the past, but they represented the present, and also I believe we're going to define our future as a profession. And once I understood about universal intelligence, about innate intelligence, how the body actually adapts rather than just a purely mechanical model, you have a bad back and that's it, I was fascinated. And ever since that time, I have surrounded myself with green books, and I collect them, and I study them every day, and it certainly has defined me in practice. And once I understood the philosophy, I just saw my practice grow, and I was able to help more people because the philosophy, and anybody has a philosophy, but your philosophy of life redefines what surrounds you, and that's what enabled me to grow so significantly.
And you've had the meteoric rise in your practice. I've always believed that, and this is why I do a doctor's report, Benny, that people, once they get the big idea, all else follows. And BJ and Didi used to say that, and I agree with that, because if people understood the principle of above, down, inside out, then they understand that it is about expression, it is about adaptation, and it's not about pain, because there's nowhere or very little where these guys in the green books talk about pain or lack of pain as an indicator of health. And yet we've sort of lost that because we got sucked into that medical model or that insurance model. But doctors are breaking out of that. They're really moving forward. The philosophy-based movement, the vitalistic movement, is having a resurgence, which I'm really excited about, because that's what real chiropractic, pure chiropractic is all about. So let's just talk about how that's had an impact in your practice, and how do you convey that message to your patients?
Well, I think going back to the philosophical and vitalistic standpoint, it's not just us. Other people are jumping on the wagon now with the whole understanding about our purpose for being here. And I believe that chiropractic can play a significant role in the future of all healthcare. We've always talked about this is the time for chiropractic, but this is an incredibly important time due to the state of the current health crisis that's riddling the whole world. So going back to your point about my philosophical understanding and how I apply that every day. First of all, I believe the philosophy's got to start with you, and certainly rituals and preparing my body philosophically for my day ahead enables me to overcome the challenges that are presented when a person is lying in front of you, wanting your help, and understanding when you put your hands on a body that your sole intention is to remove the interference to that person, then that enables that person to fully express their life. And every time you adjust, I believe, and certainly that is my feeling, that when I adjust, the evidence and the science is then expressed through the art of the adjustment, and people are able to fully express their health through the words of B.J. Palmer. I'm looking at these books right now. Would you mind if I just spoke a little bit of B.J.?
Absolutely. This is your call, buddy. Absolutely. I'm excited.
So this is, if you haven't got this one, this is Healing Hands by Maynard, and this book was okayed by BJ. And when Maynard asked him, said, I want to write a history on the Palmers and how chiropractic came about and the whole story. He asked BJ, how do you want me to write it? And he said, no, you write it and I'll tell you if it's okay. So, and BJ okayed it, and it's a fascinating read. And I really do believe that we need to understand our history, to understand our present, to define our future. And I've got BJ looking at me here right now. And this is a little bit that he wrote. And it's something that I read regularly now. I'm a chiropractor working with the sciences of the universe by turning on the life in man through the art of the adjustment. I do not prescribe, treat, or diagnose conditions. I use only my hands. I work with a mysterious something which created my body from 2 cells. At a time prescribed eons ago, I was set in this body to experience. That cosmic power which created me, which also moves the seas, rotates the earth, directs the heavens, gives life, takes it away, is everything. And that power which set the universe in motion and created me did not abandon me when I became free of the security of my earthly mother's womb. It is still with me and protects me as it moves all forms towards their final predestined goal. It is not mine to educationally ask why or where, but to innately live and live to help my fellow creatures. And with the chiropractic adjustment, I use all the power and energies moving through this universe to allow my fellow creatures the chance to live free of disease. I wish nothing in return, only the chance to give. I give with only the thing I have, love. And I love all by removing which interferes with 100% life. I do not look to others for direction. I look within. I'm a perfect expression of God living 24 hours each day for others. I'm a principled chiropractor. Chiropractically yours, B.J. Palmer. And those words, the emotion that stirs in me, and I'm sure when people actually understand what chiropractic actually is, and it's not about just making somebody feel better. It's about making somebody be better and be the best that they can be in this opportunity that we have. And it is an opportunity. And I don't believe that everybody takes that opportunity to their fullest, because I don't believe that many people are actually healthy. And the definition of health comes from the word hale, which means whole. And I don't believe that everybody is whole. And there are emotional, physical, and chemical stresses more now than probably there's ever been. And that is why I believe chiropractic is positioned absolutely perfectly to educate and communicate these things. So the practice of chiropractic, from a mechanistic standpoint, if your philosophy is to help people with back pain, that's amazing. I'm really about helping people express their full life potential. And there are young chiropractors now who, like Brett Jones and Jonathan Verderami and Michael Dibley and the guys that I met across in the States, who are right on board with this. Young chiropractors who have been to colleges, who've been told that it's about mechanism, what have you, and they really see the potential of this thing called life. And BJ saw it, and every principled chiropractor needs to be reading these words regularly, because they actually state what is happening today, and they are significant. So that's my little rant just to start off.
No, that's a great rant and significant, Benny. And like you said, in today's healthcare dilemma, because healthcare costs are going through the roof. It's really not healthcare; it's sick care intervention. And chiropractic is really poised to really be a leading force in real healthcare. So, but our schools, for the most part, have gotten so far away from that they're no longer chiropractic, they're glorified physiotherapists, and they're teaching a limited scope chiropractic. So we've always believed, and congruent with you and I and everybody else on this call, I'm sure that we get adjusted at least once a week for life. How do you, I know the answer to this, but for the viewers, how do you get that message across to the patients, and how do you continually get that message across so that your patients get the big idea?
Well, I think one of the things that you taught me was the conversations that we have with our patients, our practice members, whatever you would like to call them, the people, the ones who require the help. You have to be talking tick. You have to be applying that philosophy to their lives and enabling them to understand the benefits of the removal of that interference. And it is the enabling them to express their innate intelligence could mean to them being able to play with their kids, or it may mean to them that they no longer have to get up in the middle of the night because they can't hold their bladder, or it could mean a multitude of things, and you've got to be able to identify what those people really want. They come in and they see the word chiropractic, and because of the ideology of the fact that chiropractic has an association with the spine, that it's going to help back pain. And I think sometimes the word chiropractic undoes us, because it has now become this thing that is associated with this mechanistic principle. And it is the principles and the define chiropractic. And I think that if we take away that word and explain to the patients about the 33 principles, and that we tell them that there is a universal intelligence, or not tell them, we educate them about the fact that there's a universal intelligence. And most people will get that. You know, people have their belief systems, and whether they call it God or Allah, or whether they call it spirit or whatever, there is a greater power than us. We cannot exist without a greater power than us. And that power is represented in us because that life force exists within us. And BJ talks about the fact that, you know, if you rub a shovel on a man's hand, it will produce a callus.
Right.
If you rub a shovel on a dead man's hand, there will be no callus development, because there is no life force to adapt to that. Right. And what we need to educate, and what we desperately try and do, and I'm still learning, Mike, I feel like, as Fred Bard would say, I'm a fledgling chiropractor, and I'm still learning. And I think that we need to continue to learn, to educate people. But it's getting these people to understand that, and the kids get it the best.
I'm sure they do.
The kids get the best. You know, you say, if this bone is misaligned in your neck, do you think your body's going to work properly? You should might go, no, absolutely. What would you do? They replace the bone. And you've got adults who are like, have legal histories, or they're educated people, and go, oh, I don't know. And it's because their minds are being so dumbed down by this how you're feeling as opposed to how you're healing mentality. And that's why people are turning up in offices when they've already gone to that sick place, where often the poor medical doctor or the emergency doctor is looking at a person that's already too far gone. And all they can do is because their body is so broken down, they give them a chemical to try and stimulate that system. And don't get me wrong, I am massively pro-medicine. If I rupture my thoracic aorta, I want the best guy in the world to do that.
For emergencies, right? I agree, absolutely.
1,000,000%, right? And I don't want a mediocre. I don't want a doctor who's okay. And I tell people, I said, do you want your nervous system to be okay? And they go, well, it's really important. I said, well, you can carry on as okay, or you can optimize it so that your body can actually adapt 100% to the stresses that come on into your life. Do you think that would benefit you? Well, yeah, that would benefit me, absolutely. So once people understand that the importance of the nervous system and the reason why we have a nerve system, and also I tell them as well, a dead person has a nerve system too. But the difference between the dead person and the live person is the live bit. And the live bit is that innate intelligence, which uses the nerve system to communicate through the body. So it's that spirit, that cosmic something, whatever you want to call it, is there and present, so that that person is able to express life, and that nerve system is there, and the integrity of that nerve system is there to allow that innate intelligence to communicate with the body. And that's how I try and get it across.
And you're right, because patients are ready for it. They will listen to it. They've usually tried everything else. And, you know, once they start getting adjusted, they start seeing those changes, not just of course, the aches and pains, but they start seeing lifestyle changes. So that's where that chemical, physical, emotional component comes in. And I always love the expression. I'm going to borrow this from Guy Reekman. You know, guys catalyzing statements, maximizing the expression of the perfection within. I truly believe in that the human body is meant to be perfect. As long as you just adjust, get out of the way, and let innate take care of itself. And you're absolutely right about the kids, because the kids don't have that educated mind. They're not, you know, sort of brainwashed like the adults. And the kids are they're so plastic. They're so open to this. They get it. And that's why getting kids checked at birth and educating the kids and getting them in the principle. Like, I got my 2 boys here, and they're always, hey, Dad, can I get an adjustment every week? It's not symptomatic. They know the importance of it, and they've had it from birth. And they're healthy, smart individuals, non-vaccinated, organic breastfed, the whole bit. So this is why it's important that, you know, we get that message out to everybody. Benny, let's just start with the doctors on this call. Some of them have never read a green book. And, you know, I've got my green books. I got Stevenson up here on my bookshelf. I see you've got a lot on yours. Let's pick your top 3 books. These doctors that want to get started, let's talk about where they can get the best 3 books, because BJ's a hard language to read. It really is. I mean, you got to be focused. You know, I appreciate you doing it at midnight, man. He put me to sleep after chapter 1, but you've got to be in the zone. You got to have a coffee, because it's spoken in a sort of an older language. But what are the top 3 books you'd recommend for our listeners?
Well, how I started, Jonathan Verderami wrote a superb book when he was Palmer, and he wrote a book called Straight Chiropractic. It's a purple book. You can get it from DCS books. DCS? Yeah, I believe it's DCS.
Yes.
DCS books. And it's a really great read. It's got the 33 principles, but he's also put in the extra principles up to 75 that BJ added to at a later date. And as we all do, we always grow, and our understandings grow. So he extended them, but essentially the 33 principles, and then the others to make it up to 75. And Jonathan does a wonderful job of applying that to modern language. So that's a really super, especially for the students, that book I would highly recommend. The other book that everybody must read, obviously, is the Chiropractic Textbook by Stevenson, because it starts getting you into the language of what chiropractic's all about. And it's a wonderful textbook. It is the chiropractic textbook. It was designed for students. And there's the beginning section, which is the freshman section, and then it goes on as you become slightly more advanced, and you have the senior text. And it's tough reading, but the more you read this stuff, the easier it becomes.
I agree.
Now there's 3 books. Yeah, there's 3 books by Fred Barge, and Fred Barge was where I started. And Fred Barge did a wonderful job as a student of BJ, and coming from a very chiropractic family. Henry, his father, was an extraordinary chap. I do believe that he had a paralysis, and he actually modified his adjustment technique with one hand, which is quite remarkable. But Fred Barge is just an incredible orator of chiropractic, and he takes BJ's text and explains it. So you start understanding the flow. You know, BJ was like this prolific writer, man. He got in touch with Remington and made an electric typewriter, and the dude just let innate flow. And when you read it, there's a lot of repeat. He does explain the same thing many different times in different ways, and BJ is very clever at doing that. But you've got to sort of understand the flow of it, and Barge's books are wonderful. You can go to Patty Barge's website if you just Google Patty Barge, and I think it's tourstore.com, and a lot of the Barge books are there, and they can be accessed. More avid
Fear. That was one of my favorites. Life Without Fear by Barge.
Yeah, superb, absolutely superb. And remember, it was all taken from BJ's text and stuff, right. And it was he was a brilliant man, and we've been so blessed to have certain brilliant men in our profession. The one book, though, that if you really want to understand chiropractic and how the science came to develop was the subluxation specific, the adjustment specific, which is from 1934, volume 18 of the Green Books, and that really starts putting the science together behind it as well. Because chiropractic has diversion to the wonderful thing, the art aspect of it. That certainly somebody like Michael Dibley expresses this wonderful art, the arte scienza, the art backed by the science, as Leonardo da Vinci would say. And the expression of this chiropractic is a wonderful thing, because the human tapestry of life is something that everybody expresses subtly differently. So they can actually, they use what innately is in them to express the health of their patients. So we do have some amazing techniques, and being adjusted by lots of different chiropractors, I think, is a beneficial thing. But I've learned recently that the specificity of the adjustment is just unbelievably profound. And sometimes you really do need to find that one quirky chiropractor who's just got that real special something, which BJ talked about, and that specificity of the line of drive and understanding the listings and stuff sometimes is critical and can be life-changing. And certainly that's something that we're experiencing in my life at the moment with my son, who since we've been to see an upper cervical specialist, Lacey Book, the science and the philosophy has been backed by the specificity of the adjustment, which has made a significant difference in Harrison's life, more so than other techniques have. So so there's a couple of taster books there, but it is all about the philosophy, understanding the philosophy, so that we can define the science, which we can then express through the art. And these books, and the books I've mentioned, will help chiropractors do that.
And what's important too, and I think that the doctors online need to understand, is that you, like many of our masters, and you're G6, we get into rituals. We're up early, we're up late, we exercise, we have pure nutrition, we meditate. How many hours per day do you spend reading?
So I'll give you an overview of my day. I start at 5:33. Had 33 principles. Chiropractic as you wake up, right? And I go downstairs and I have an alkalizing drink. It's actually a coffee, which is promoted by Bob Rakowski, who is Organo Gold. It gives a real good kick and gets those brain cells buzzing. And I just prep my mind, have a little walk with the dog, almost in a meditative state, prepping myself for the day. And then I get into the gym and I do a physical activity. So I'm training my physical body, and then have the nutritious breakfast, the high fats, and I have a lot of eggs. But just got to make sure that my body's prepped for the day. I listen to Reggie Gold in the car on the way. I'll listen to your tapes. I love you, so I like listening to your voice first in the mornings, Mike. Sometimes,
That's my
yeah. And so once we get in and we meet, and I meet with my team and have the huddle, we're kind of prepped and ready to go. So as soon as I put my hands on that person, I'm good to go. But I come home, I spend some time with Ears. I go and check on the kids, give them a kiss and what have you. Have a little bit of time out, and then Iz will usually be working because she runs the business, and I will then just start opening the books and doing at least an hour and a half a day, doing my greens.
Fantastic.
And it's not just greens first, greens.
Yeah, and it's interesting. You mentioned an hour and a half a day. Is I've read this multiple times. Is the top CEOs in the world go through one book a week, and they basically do at least a book a week. So a book a week, an hour a day. So just food for thought for the doctors out there. Get into the philosophy of the green list. Pick up one at a time, buy a bunch. But if you just went through a few chapters a day and immerse yourself, just full immersion like you have, Benny, and this has transformed your practice. You have a phenomenal practice. I've been in your practice, and you've done just an amazing, amazing job. What would be a tip that you can actually give to some of the doctors out there?
I just think it's about having structure, and a lot of chiropractors and the successful chiropractors, and certainly the people, I've had a wonderful experience this year, traveling around America and being the UK kid on the block. I've been wonderfully accepted, and it's been a humbling experience. But when you speak to the to the greats in our profession at the time who I look up to, the likes of Tim Young, and you listen to the likes of Brad Glowacki, and you know, the younger guys coming through, Brett Jones, and you know, the list is endless. These guys have rituals every day, and you've just got to stick to them. If you stick to your rituals, if you focus on, you know, you have your vision board, you look at it every day, and you write your vision about how you want to be, and what you want to surround yourself with, then success is the only way you're going to be. And that success is not, you know, if you focus on the person in front of you, you know, often you hear the likes of Fred Bard, Reggie Gold, and what have you say that, how many people do you see a day? I say, I always see one person at a time, and that's how you've got to approach it. And and if you see that one person, that adjustment. And the big idea of chiropractic was that, you know, a sip on a sidewalk to someone is a small thing, but then if it becomes a subluxation, that's a small thing, but that subluxation may choke off the life supply to the body. That's a big thing to that man. Multiply that man by 100, and you affect a sort of, you know, house, and then you affect a local community. Multiply by 1,000, and then you multiply 1,000,000. You start, that adjustment has a wave, and if we can just make sure that we're doing our rituals and we're staying on point, then our success will come by those people getting well, and those people being well in the community will change that community. And that comes from us being dedicated to what we do, and we have to. And if you lose sight of it, Mike, you know, so I have lost sight of it a few times, where you sort of go, well, you know, I've done that stuff, and you just see your practice do this, or suddenly you get a few complaints come in, or you know, you get some disgruntled patients or whatever, because you've lost sight of that communication from that chiropractic, and it's your fault. It's your fault. You can't be cross. Oh, I haven't got enough practice members. Oh, I haven't got, you know, so and so hasn't stayed on care, and oh my, where's my next new patient coming from? That's your fault. There's choices that you make. If you're not prepared to put, you know, the foundations in, don't expect anything in return. You know, you have to have a service mentality, and you have to give love and serve to those people lying in your
Critical.
couch. And you've
Yeah,
got to
absolutely.
push, absolutely, and you've got to make sure your team's on board with that as well. And you know, we regularly talk philosophy, and I in our team meetings every week, you know, there'll be some philosophical talk, and I'm a crier. I'm an emotional guy. And there's rarely a team meeting on a Wednesday where I don't cry. You can ask my team, because I'm either talking BJ or the importance of something, or a miracle's happened. And well, the fascinating thing about this wonderful thing, chiropractic, is that a C1 adjustment to one person might improve their sciatica, but a C1 adjustment to another person might mean that autistic child starts formulating words. And that's the amazing thing, because we're not, if we were trying to treat a condition, we would be doing a disservice to that person if we were to get that expression of life, and suddenly you go, do you know what, man? It's like, he's walking different. He's now talking. My kids put on weight. You know, all these different things. You know, like the interesting thing, Mum came in today and said, my little, she had a Kiss syndrome, so the head was off to one side. And she said, we know that he's better. And I said, how's that? Because he's sucking his right thumb. They didn't know he had a right hand before. You know, this is, you know, and, you know, where is it? We've got, you know, I'm plugging everybody. I love everybody in chiropractic. Dan Sullivan's about the brain, right? Okay, this thing's amazing, right? And, you know, Reggie Gold had his light bulb, and Dan's done an amazing job of this. And when I show patients this and see the light coming on, they get the big idea. They get the idea of that expression. And so, yeah, we have to be regimented. We have to stay on point, stay on purpose, and live that chiropractic life. You know, we talk about the chiropractic lifestyle, and the likes of Dane Donahue and Joe James Tilley are doing this wonderful stuff with exercise and nutrition and all that stuff, but it has a chiropractic base to it. It always has to come back to chiropractic. It has to come back to the principles. If we can educate people about the principles, then all the other things are just bonus. But a successful chiropractic practice has the principles down. It has a principled chiropractor down who constantly goes back to this and understands the philosophy, to understand the science, which is pouring in from Heidi Harbeck. I listen to Dan Murphy and these guys. They really get it down, and they are far more intelligent than I. So I accept that, put the philosophy in, and move the bone, change the tone, and then leave it alone and let the body do what it's meant to do.
And nothing in there about pain or insurance or I mean, that's chiropractic, Benny. That's why I love you, man, because, and I've always believed that you're here for a reason, that the universe chose you to be who you are and why you're here. And, I believe the universe gives us signs, hence Harry and the things that you've gone through. And that's for another story. But hey, tell you what, if anyone has a question, just raise your hand, guys. There's a little note there. You can raise your hand and I can unmute you. But I only have a few minutes left for a quick question or two. And just raise your hand, and then we'll see if we can get you guys to ask a question to Benny. And the few remaining minutes that we have, Benny, one last tip to these doctors: if they have, if you want to give them one nugget, what would it be? Immerse yourself in the green books, go to seminars. What would it be?
You need to hang around with like-minded people.
I agree,
and that can be painful. And if somebody is of the same philosophical mindset from you, it'll be a very negative experience, and it will draw energy away from you. And I've surrounded myself this year with people who, because of various challenges that are going on, surrounded people who are of exactly the same mindset, whose experiences and passion enables your passion to further fuel. And if we can create and continue to create movements of vitalistic principle chiropractors around the world, and we do that by surrounding ourselves with the likes of the movement, with chiropractic masters, and going to seminars like Prosperity, which is going to re-dip you in. I've been to some like off the chart seminars. Invest in yourself, invest in your team. Take your teams, take yourself to seminars such as Prosperity, such as Focus, such as ChiroFest, Paul Reed's event last year. Cross the pond, sacrifice some time, make a holiday. We had the best holiday ever. We took the kids, they came to the seminars, my parents came. Constantly dip yourself in, surround you with things that are going to empower you, not to disempower you. And that's what I recommend.
I agree, Benny, and I'm excited because we have you coming up soon as well at Prosperity. Doctors can find out more at prosperitysummit.net. So really excited to have you there and speaking to our crowd. So doctors, make sure that you go to prosperitysummit.net to find out more. So Benny, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being on this call today. I love and appreciate you, and we'll see you next day.
Absolutely, champion. Thank you very much, and love and light to everybody.
All right.
Keep practicing with passion.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll see you on our next Master Talk.
I'd love to have you subscribe, comment, like, and share this video with your friends. And don't forget to go to www.chiropractic-masters.com for more free practice building tools.